Cool, so we're live. Matt and Josh from Appalachian Cannabis Company.
Hey, how we doing? Thanks for having us.
How we doing?
Good, man. Good. So what's up? Basically, who was it? I had Adam Chef from Coolville Organics on, and then he reached out to me and said, like, hey, I know some people that would love to come on and talk about their cannabis company, so here we are.
Yeah, we met him, Cannabis Museum, I guess, earlier this year, or I guess last year, at the beginning of our outdoor home grow workshop, I guess is the best term for it. But yeah, we've been blessed to meet a lot of people through there and new connections and bringing the cannabis community together here in Athens. People coming out of the woodwork to participate. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I met Mr. Chef at Cool Digs
Nice.
one day. I was picking up a bunch of CO2 tanks, and I met him in the lot, and I didn't really remember that, right? But he reached out to me later, months later, on Instagram and was like, hey, you know, basically, I like what you're doing. I want to know more. And ever since, he has been like one of the crew, right?
Yeah.
So like, there ain't a lot of people that just like walk into the space.
Jump
and
into
everybody
crew.
else has like kind of been networked in for a minute, and he just hopped right in like a pig in mud.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I want to say to you that what you got going on is awesome.
Thank you.
Right? I've listened to every episode that's on YouTube, from Reggie to Ronnie. And then today, Mr. Cody was like, oh, yeah, most people use Spotify. There's 2 more episodes. So I'm looking forward to hearing that.
I had trouble sometimes, like the YouTube videos just like didn't upload it. The last 2 though, DJ A-Rock, Aaron Thomas, and then Zane Summers, another local guy. He is a boxing manager, so those are super sick.
Is that out in Gloucester?
He does go to Sam's Gym, Sam's
I think
Gym.
I just met him
Nice.
at the Athens Farmers Market
Cool.
2 weeks ago. So.
Small town.
Wicked, yeah.
Your guests are awesome, and I just really appreciate what you're doing here, right?
That's
You're
awesome. Thank you so much.
Documenting Athens and like all the things that you should be doing. The people you're talking to are all the right people.
I appreciate that.
So by the end of this, if there's, I think like Donnie Warshafter, obviously he got brought up on here before.
Yeah.
I think that's a great testament to Athens, and there's other. I'm sure you're onto it, dude.
Yeah.
You're already.
It's it's interesting.
Heavy
You
hitters.
talk about Chef, like just kind of being a networking catalyst. Like since my episode with him, like every couple of days he'll just send me a couple more profiles. Like, hey, these people are really cool. Or like, hey, if this person doesn't reach out, just let me know. Like I'll reach out to him. And even that, like he like just kind of reached out and was just like, hey man, like I keep listening. These are great. Like I would say if any individual supporter, I'd say he's probably the biggest one. And I just met that guy like on Instagram. Like so yeah, that's been beautiful. I really appreciate that energy, and that means a lot to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are we at? I'll spark this. You're looking at me like, let's do some talking, and I can do some talking.
Dude, yeah, it's like free form. I don't have an agenda here. Literally whatever you want to talk about, as long as you want to talk. I don't have anywhere to be,
I just got so much love for what's going on right now, right? And my man is in the room, who I've been with since 2003, right? Hawk in college.
Nice. I'm a hawk, yeah.
Yeah, I know you are. I hear these things, bro, and you got that good roots plus out of town connection with the Lakewood thing. But this dude right here has been near and dear to me since I moved down here, right? He's a part of why I stayed here. Where we run App Girls Cannabis right now out of the ACEnet warehouse in Nelsonville. I started in those apartment complexes like a bike ride from there,
Wow.
like right connected to there.
I've never seen the Nelsonville warehouse. I've heard about it a few times. I've never
Come
been to that
down,
one. Yeah.
visit.
Yeah.
Cool.
A
Yeah.
little bit
We'll
different.
walk you through.
Yeah,
Nice.
a little different than the Athens facility, that's for sure. So, yeah, no, I came down in 2000, actually following cannabis. Had some older folks from the hometown area that were down here cultivating in the early 90s, I'd say, and that's kind of when my passion for cannabis started, was getting my hands on some of that flower and being like, whoa, this is a whole new world. I need to find this world.
Yeah.
I played hockey, grew up playing hockey in high school. We came down here and played hockey
Where
against
from? Where's originally home?
Dayton.
Yeah. Okay.
Small suburb, Centerville.
Cool.
So we came down here and played hockey against the Bulldogs a couple times,
Nice.
and so that was my first real introduction to Athens, I guess, and then the cannabis, and then finding out about Hocking Tech, it's Hocking College now, no more Hocking Tech, but 2000 came down to do the hippy dippy, natural resources, and follow the be outside,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards, and run into Josh, and the rest for us has just been cannabis for the last 20 plus years.
Yeah. Well, like, what was that like in Ohio before, like a couple of years ago? You know?
Underground. Yeah. Total underground,
Yeah.
top secret, I guess,
Yeah.
Mission Impossible.
Like come to town, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how we was living for for a really long time.
So yeah, all this legalization, big game changer, and
Yeah.
the way, not just in the way of life for us, I guess. and then once I've always been running around in Meigs County. Josh is on the other side. As I said, I'm west side. Josh is east side. But I was able to purchase a farm in Meigs, and was doing some dairy farming and dairy work, and just wanted to, and just everything, slightly homesteading, trying to. And then 2018 came, and the Farm Bill, and legalized industrial hemp. And obviously Ohio was a little bit late to the game. It took till 2020 till we were able to get licensing, and they figured out how they were going to set up the framework. But when that hit, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, you mean we can actually grow this? And at the time, there wasn't a whole lot. I didn't really know a whole lot about CBD or other minor cannabinoids or anything like that. And but that led it down the rabbit hole, and I was like, this is something we definitely need to look into, and that's kind of where the beginning of, I guess, the hemp and the beginning of the dream for Appalachian Girls kind of started too.
Yeah. So what is like the process like to even get a license to be able to do it? I feel like they definitely just put a bunch of bureaucracy in there and like register here, pay this organization this fee. Like, what is it like? Like, what does it take? Is there a limit on those? Like, is it like what is it, trying to do an analogy, like a liquor license, right? Like, it's really hard to get a liquor license in Athens. Like, is it also like that in the cannabis industry? Or?
For cannabis, yeah. Hemp, not so much. I mean, some of the regulations are a little bit more strict than like marijuana or high
Can you explain the
THC
difference?
Sure. Well, from what I've read, obviously the difference between hemp and we'll call it low THC cannabis and high THC cannabis,
Okay.
because when it comes down to it, it's all the cannabis sativa plant to begin with. So,
Okay.
But hemp is cannabis that's below a 0.3 delta 9 THC level, where high THC is above that. I think the 0.3 came from a 1970 something study from a Canadian professor in Canada that came up and literally picked some natural ditch hemp that grows in there, and tested it in a vegetative cycle that came back at a 0.3. So they said, okay, this is hemp.
Yeah.
And that's still, to my understanding, the
Legal definition.
and that's what we're going off of today.
Yeah,
It's from over almost 50 years ago. So obviously that needs to be addressed, in my opinion, but yeah, a lot of fighting and legislative change there, which Josh has been pretty good at.
Yeah, that's something that I saw like across a bunch of people's profile that Adam Chef sent me. Is like I all saw like the same people out at some of these events. I think you were there. Like Gavin Thomas is a guy I tried to reach out to try to get on the pod about that. But yeah, I would love to hear like what those are like, and what the back rooms are like. Like you see the video stuff, but like what else is going on there that you're not seeing?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Even you like to go long form, and you ain't got enough time for all that. But
It's a different world, that's for sure. It's not something I ever considered really doing. Ever thought about being involved in any type
Like
of
lobbying
yeah,
shit.
you know, going up and standing in front of these reps and just talking about cannabis or anything in general, but cannabis for that. You know, we went up to the cannabis lobby day up there, and we carried a bunch of plants right into the state house, and that was pretty cool and
you
life changing.
It's a frustrating journey, right? Because you get yourself hyped up, you get over that intimidation of getting up there to testify. You know, this is where I started, and then you learn to testify, and then you learn to speak well when you testify, and then you learn to bring points when you testify, and none of that matters until you get invited to a lunch by the guy that wrote the bill, right? So like there's all these different levels of like deal playing, right? But we were lucky to sit down. The last day I testified, me and Matt got to sit down with Tex Fisher, who wrote House Bill 198. And, you know, those testimonies lasted hours, right? So even the state reps and the senators, you know, when you go to testify at Senate and House bills, they're in and out of there, you know. And with the Senate not having as many members on a committee, sometimes you're sitting there talking to two people. But with the House, at least there's several people that are in there, so it doesn't seem like you're talking to nobody.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, while the testimonies are going on, we you know, sat down and had a lunch after I testified with the dude that had the bill. That meant a lot to me. That Tex Fisher.
Sure, yeah, just getting some of the points, bullet points that are for us, you know, at this point can really affect our business if some of these things are passed, and just having actual sit down at the table with one of these guys to be able that's actually actively listening and agreeing with some of this felt pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Where's this agenda coming from with this new bill? Like who's pushing this?
The lead guy is Steve Huffman, right?
Well,
Or
yeah,
Stewart.
he's the senator that pushed it, right? So like Senate Bill 86, Senate Bill 56, those were Huffman agendas. But then they got reintroduced in the House as different numbers. So 86, Senate Bill 86, which mainly was reference to hemp, intoxicating hemp. Once it got pushed to the House, it was kind of, in my eyes, as a guy that's just fighting against all of it, you know, that was just the reintroduction of House Bill 198. So
I'm having trouble keeping up with these numbers.
So yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, just like attaching like what they are, yeah.
It's just a bombardment, right, against what we as Ohioans, with an overwhelmingly majority bipartisan vote with issue 2, this is what we wanted. And now it's just
trying to pull it all back. Yeah, what's that about? What the fuck?
All back, bro.
And require a mandatory minimum sentences for carrying cannabis or, you know, in a car. I mean that's completely backwards.
Adam Chef
we're
brought that
going
up.
backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we were already before this legalization. You know, it was decriminalized to carry more cannabis than what we're legally allowed to carry now. So, you know, it's an interesting dynamic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so to re-explain it though, so basically it's like, say before issue 2, right, you could say have like 100 grams in your car. So
I think they had actually moved it to 200. I think they had moved it up to 2.
Okay, and so you could pull it over with that, misdemeanor ticket, they take it, pay your fine, you walk away. Now, Right, so that's kind of what you mean by walk it back.
Yeah.
It's like now you have that same 100 grams, and what they want 3 days jail sentence.
Last you could have an open vape pen or an open jar of concentrate or a half-smoked joint.
Like that would...
Or anything
and that's-
not from a state-registered facility.
Then how would you prove that? You're supposed to leave it. So say like I have a dab pen, right? I get it in that little bag, and I take it out, and then I put it on my dab cart battery, right? So, and then I get pulled over, and they have that. Like, if I can't prove, like, the exact seal, like, I have to leave it in that bag.
What
like,
if it was home grow? Or you made it from your home grow?
Yeah, or like,
So
it's
there's a
right
lot.
now it's legal to give it. So, like, what if somebody just gave this to me?
That's a big thing that we're pushing for too. They won't let you share. You can share your microbrews or your wines, your stuff, your vegetables, these things. But you can't share your cannabis, or they're trying to make it so you can't. We can now.
There's absolutely no limit on how much brew you can do at your house.
Okay.
Right, so they're like pushing this. Hey, let's regulate this out like alcohol. Well, last I checked, because when Senator Steve Huffman testified on this, he's like trying to do. If you have 6 plants and this and that, then per year, this is 10 joints a day. This is too excessive. It's like last I checked, you could go home and drink 10 bottles of liquor a day.
Goddamn right.
You could smoke 10 packs of cigarettes a day. But sorry to just barge this conversation over, but the main type of tomfoolery, shall we call it, in this new agenda is the fact that they've made it legal, but they're outlawing public use, they're outlawing transportation of the product, and they're making it so you can be evicted for having the product. So to poor, lower class people, this is basically outlawing it entirely.
Well, what do you mean you could be evicted for it?
So right now,
This is like it's legal to possess the plant. You say like it's like they could just make a rule.
If you're a landowner, which, you know, part of this I get, right? So if you own a piece of property, you ought to be able to say, hey, they shouldn't have, I don't want them on this property if they have green shirts on. You know, I get that end of it, but they're setting it up so that it leaves it up to the property owners to evict somebody if they use it inside or outside their
It's like, what did they just fucking tell you to do? They told you not to do it in public. So where the fuck do you want me to do it? You want me to do it in public, but then you're going to let this dude kick?
Well,
And
what
they
the
can't
fuck?
drive with it.
Yeah, one of the other crazier things is too, a lot of this money that they're making off the taxes for it are supposed to go to
social equity funds.
Well, that and expunge people's records, but at the same for simple possession and charges of that nature. But at the same time, now they're trying to recharge people for simple possession for having. So
I see. So the tax dollars are expunging the records while they're also putting it back on people's records.
Right. complete ridiculousness, you know. So it's just like some of this stuff, and that's what we're trying to voice. And there's been, you know, there was 4.5 hours worth of testimony for people up there, kind of stating the same things. And you know, some of these people are pretty well spoken and can point out constitutional violations that would be, you know, go against, you know, your rights and things of that. So I think once those people, the reps, start kind of hearing those arguments, I think they're always ready for a little bit of litigation, you know. But once they start people hearing, speaking intelligently and with facts, they get a little bit nervous.
So, another thing that really drives home with this whole agenda is that there's less opportunity to fill up jails. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Adam Chef started to talk about this.
So, yeah.
One of the other things I don't really care for is the Tier 3, elimination of the Tier 3, but that goes into the social equity, which you were talking about,
Tier
Tyler.
3, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so there was supposed to be, I believe, 40 more Tier 3 cultivation licenses approved or, given out.
Tier 3, what can a Tier 3 do that a Tier 2 can't?
Square footage. It all comes down to square footage.
Understood.
They've tripled the Tier 1s and the Tier 2s, and they've also been given their own dispensaries dispensaries. The tier 3, if they eliminate that potentially, that was potentially our foot in the door into doing a small craft, or being able to offer higher quality cannabis than what's in the dispensaries at this point. Because personally, I don't smoke anything out of the dispensary. To me, it's subpar and not something I want to indulge in.
The only thing I buy is rosin from dispensaries.
Sure.
I don't know. Sure. Yeah. It's just because I can't get that. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But that takes in my opinion, the whole craft market out of the equation here. So we're going to be continued to, if you're unable to cultivate your own, you're forced to deal, unless you know somebody and want to continue to do it the backward way. You're going to get the Walmart weed, is what we call it.
That's right.
The mass produced and may look okay on the outside, but not exactly what everybody's looking for. And that might be okay, but for me, I'd like connoisseur. We like the small batch, small brew, whatever you want to refer to it as. It's.
Oh, cheers! Yeah, shout out. App Cannabis Girls.
Yeah. So something I did want to mention after all, I was going to hesitate saying this on here, but since this is all about Athens, always Athens, I will bring this up. The biggest thing that the Athens City Council and this city should be concerned with this bill is that the legislation is trying to redirect the funds that we all voted for on issue 2 that were to be allocated. So this is robbery, right? So Athens City is owed money due to the taxes they've collected from Mavuno and Debbie's. That money is supposed to be building us parks right now. That money is supposed to be going to health concerns in our area, poverty in our area, food supply in our area, and they're trying to redirect those funds that we all voted for back to the government committee.
So could I clarify? So you're saying that the city has collected the tax revenue already, but they have not dispersed it to what we voted on to say, and before they have dispersed it to that, they are trying to change what they send it to?
No, I'm saying the state has collected these
and didn't
taxes,
give it to the city yet to do what we
robbing the city of Ohio.
This is just an escrow account? What do you mean? Like, how does that work?
They're probably drawing interest off of it and making a small fortune. It's supposed to go. What was it? Is it 36% back to the municipalities that have the dispensaries and they're supporting this? Because obviously some of these places have decided they don't want to support cannabis and have banned dispensaries or whatnot from operating in their municipalities. But the people that we have, like Josh mentioned, we already have 2 dispensaries. I believe there's a third on the way on Stimson down there. They should be receiving a substantial amount of money from that tax revenue from those 3 dispensaries.
My daughter enjoys every playground in this city, right? Like, that's what we do when we spend time together. It's like a playground tour. Shout out to Bailey's Run, who has a very nice playground now. Yeah. Out at Stroud's Run, it just got redone.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, very cool playground out there. But that's the type of stuff that this money is supposed to be used for. So this is literally thievery, right? Don't let me digress onto this, because it's just like, it's such malarkey.
Just one of the many points that, that if anybody has an interest in cannabis, and now's the time to stand up and voice and reach out, make your phone calls, or come testify for the next whatever they're going to try to shove down the pipeline here. And it's constantly changing, and it's hard to keep up. But Grassroots Ohio down here, they do a great job of keeping everybody up to date on what's going on, when the stuff's going to hit, when the testimony is available, if you're an opponent or proponent for it, So there's a lot of good info if just reach out.
Yeah, so because what's crazy to me is that like so there's definitely all this like negative connotations attached to the cannabis industry, but right now like the qualm that I'm hearing is not even about the context of marijuana. It's like, hey, I voted for this thing, and now you like that just like it doesn't even have anything to do with the cannabis. It's like we voted on this, and like I just don't understand that, like how they have the discretionary power to just like.
Well, it was the way.
But is it official that they've redirected the funds, or we're just saying we're speculating that? It's like, where's this money at? We know the state's collected it. The city hasn't gotten it. If the city hasn't gotten it, they can't do what they want with it.
No,
It's
Steve Huffman is avidly up there, right? On the proponent nights, he's the one who introduced it to the Senate. And then when it was reintroduced in the House, it was also Steve Huffman, who I believe, don't quote me on that. I see so many testimonies now, I get them mixed up. But basically, he is saying, yes, you guys don't need these. If there isn't necessarily incidences happening in these cities, then we should redirect it to the general government.
Yeah, it's in the Ohio General Fund is where it's that's where it's all being amassed.
Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see what they do fit, or what whatever they see fit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the legislation battle going on with Appalachian Girls right now, and
it sounds like
keeping relevant.
It sounds like we're bitching, right? But at the same time, we're just blessed to like.
It's like war, or a battle. It's like
what would I be doing if we weren't doing this? So
still hiding.
Yeah, still hiding, right? But
yeah.
It's fun, almost. You got to turn those like hard objectives into the challenge for the fun, right?
Yeah,
as you know, as a former athlete, there ain't a lot of, you can't just go put on shoulder pads and go bang it out in the backyard anymore. So like, where's that competitiveness gotta go?
Sure, that's a good. That makes sense to me.
And
he's getting an adrenaline rush from doing it. Josh gets adrenaline from standing up and testifying.
I do.
I get that, dude. I walk out of these podcasts fucking juiced up. Like I can't fucking sometimes I can't work. I have to leave. It's just like, all right, dude, I can't do anything else today. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Word.
Yeah, it's just like pay attention to that. Maybe you should do more of things that make you feel that way. Yeah,
right. Yeah. Great point.
Shout out to cannabis, recreational user. Yeah.
I mean, it's like changed my life. That's for sure. Cannabis.
Well, cannabis and just testifying, right? Me and him, that like going up there, like it takes a lot, dude. And look on our YouTube, you can see our first ones, right? Matt's up there like an OG with a shirt and tie on.
That's one. Yeah, you won't see me in a tie much, but that was Josh. You wore a tie? What the heck? But that's what we're doing it for our company, Appalachian Girls. I mean, because if like I think I mentioned earlier, some of this stuff, if it gets passed, it makes our life a little bit more difficult. Even we just rolled out the drink line, and that it can affect that, and whether it's our smokable flower or
So where could somebody get their smokable flower, or these like Movana for sure?
No, so since these are all hemp derived THC infused beverage, they can be sold anywhere as long as it's a 21 or older.
I see.
But 2018 Farm Bill, so it's by dry weight 0.3, as long as.
I must say, that's exactly why I mentioned being blessed, right? Like it seems, you get lost in the fact that all this new legislation's coming out, but it's all just a rebuttal to the fact that they got it wrong to begin with in the 2018 Hemp Farm Bill, right? Yeah. Under President Trump's administration, I must say. That's when that went through. And all they did was define hemp from non-hemp or intoxication, what's in a dispensary and not, by that 0.3% THC. They forgot to mention THC Delta 8, THC Delta 10, THC Delta 9, or THC A, which
9A.
is just
Or just A?
THCA.
THC
That's
acid.
just
Never heard of that.
weed.
Precursor to
That's the
THC.
same stuff that you grow in your tent.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of that stuff I thought was all just like marketing because like I didn't hear about CBN or CBG or like I was like so then I get kind of turned on to that just because I feel like I'm trying to be like, well, you know what I mean? There's some like magic. Just like how did I never hear about this? And then you know what I mean?
Cannabigerol is
Yeah.
real. Cannabigerol, CBG is like awesome.
Could you
right?
talk more about that?
CBN.
Explain CBG to me.
So, CBG is the precursor to all cannabinoids. It's the mother cannabinoid. It's the one that first. Am I getting this mixed up with CBN?
It might be.
So CBN and CBG. Okay, so CBN is the mother cannabinoid. So before any cannabinoid turns into, they all turn into CBN and then CBD or THCA.
I see.
CBDA, right?
One of the 120 that have been discovered, with probably more to come, but that'll come with legislation and legalization. It will allow for more education, more research, more hands-on, more everything.
A conversation.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, we can talk about this. This isn't the devil's lettuce. This isn't, so that's pretty cool. And there's always probably going to be more, but each person's endocannabinoid system's different, so what may affect me from a specific cannabis plant may not affect you or give you a different effect. And that goes as well as the terpenes that are involved, not only not just the cannabinoids, so still a lot to learn on the cannabinoid front, I guess, but and how those cannabinoids react with terpenes, so this is all stuff for scientists and people way smarter than me to try to sort through here, I guess. But
so I had to look it up
just
because I felt bad if I was wrong. It is CBG, right?
Cool.
CBG is the precursor to all cannabinoids. Right now in New Greenland, they got a genetically defunct, mutated strain that has a resistance for CBG to form into other cannabinoids, so they can actually grow a mature variety that just stays CBG forever. And there's a lot of money being dumped into that research of how that can help people. And coincidentally, also in the same area, they have a fern that produces a cannabinoid, which is CBG.
Whoa.
So, also,
news to me, never heard that one.
and don't this is me like reading.
For sure. Maybe fact check. Fact check what you're hearing right now.
Yeah.
Sure. 3 dudes sitting in a room. Like, you know what I mean? Come on. Give us some grace, man.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah, cool. So, okay, so then you could sell anywhere. So then, like, smokable flower or that. Like, where in Athens is somebody listening to this? Like, where was it Ronnie Gibbons maybe was selling some of that?
Yeah, he's got some in the Rhythm and Food
Cool.
for sure.
Shout
Shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
Let's cover the list.
Yeah, Busy
Who's
Day
got us?
Market. We've got Tony's Bar. Doug's Carryout. We're also at Hocking Hills Moonshine. I guess that's Logan. We've got over at Eclipse Town Company store.
Yep, over in the Plains.
Yep. Where else? Josh, help me out here.
The Eclipse, Silver Serpent,
Serpent,
at all locations.
Drive-thrus.
Nice.
Yep.
Buddy's Lounge.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
So that's the main shop that students go to for what they call THCA, right? So a lot of those or
wait,
D9,
where Big Mom's used to be, like
right
over
next
in-
to it, right next to it, right next
yeah,
to
I
it.
do know what
So
you're talking about.
also
They got drinks.
participating in the loophole, right? And so that's what me and Matt went out to go against, right? Because we were actually growing non-intoxicating hemp products and trying to make a living doing that because we love the cannabis plant. And
full spectrum CBD, or CBG, CBN, whatever varieties there were. But yeah, just full spectrum, and it was all OTHC. I always refer to it as diet weed.
Over the counter. Full spectrum, right? Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, just everything, and all the cannabinoids naturally occurring. Whether it's obviously you can have high CBG, high CBN, CBD.
Based on organically, just like the type of strain it is.
Yeah, the variety, the specific variety, the genetics. That's kind of that's kind of my nerd hole where I nerd out. Is I'm a genetics guy, starting to breed, doing the breeding projects for our company, so we can have our own unique individual genetics that nobody else has had. And we've got a collection of several of the what do you call it, the stable genetics we've had for 20 some years, Lemon G, Afghan Mango, Dumpster, Death Star, some of these Ohio greats that Ohio's are known for. We're going to try to reverse those and make some new things. I got some genetics from a 70-something-year-old gentleman from Meigs County that's an original varmint that was good friends with my neighbor, and some of his seed stock. So we've got the original Meigs Gold, albeit an F5, 6, whatever. He's regenerating his seed stock every 5 or 6 years when it gets low. But that's cool. Some of the original Meigs Gold, and doing some breeding with that, and something going to be just to have something unique and something to stand out. Like we mentioned before, hopefully we're going to be able to get our foot in the door here and eventually maybe have a cultivation facility, but we're definitely going to be in the adult use dispensaries here with gummies and potentially vape pens, and then hopefully genetics grown for us for our brand.
So you have like these different how do you verify that it's below whatever this threshold we're saying is like low level THC? Like, is there a lab somewhere that you send this stuff to?
Sure, there's labs all over you can send to, but I guess I was referring to high THC
okay.
varieties for that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We there's one of the the first year I did a bunch of research back in 2020 when we did our first outdoor grow. And just that was my big question: who's got the best genetics and what's going to be the most viable and work in our area, in our climate. And there's a bunch, and we just went with the biggest, and they were kind of the tip of the spear, leading everybody with it was Oregon CBD, and they've kind of once again been the tip of the spear with the triploid technology, which is a mutation plant that's not able to be pollinated, so you don't have to worry about seeds when you're growing outside from stray pollen or other things like that. And they're pretty uniform, so we've tried that, and we've had pretty good success. I've had a hot crop where it went hot on me, obviously, but that was environmental and just me waiting too long to do pull testing and do samples. So but yeah, Oregon CBD is a great. There's also Blue Forest Farms. I know one of my neighbors, Brad Leckler, who also still has. He's one of the there's 33 of us this year, so there's only 33 licensed hemp farmers in the state of Ohio now. Back in 2020, I think there was about 150. And
did those transition to like the high level THC? What happened from 150 to 30? What happened?
They probably went out of business due to
the legal market.
Yeah, and
the legal market.
Not being unintoxicating, so not being able to do the THCA here in Ohio. That's kind of been a limiting factor. As if you're worried about having a smokable or producing oils, obviously you could always just grow industrial, but for fiber. Not a big market.
In here a second. Excuse me, Matt.
Sure.
This is the main point, right? Ohio's agricultural system can't even contribute to the intoxicating hemp space. So we, as hemp farmers in Ohio, registered by the ODA, we all went from I don't know where Matt, the last I checked there was less than 10 hemp farmers, but maybe either way.
Well, I think
we went from 200 plus to a very, very little amount of us, and that was all due to the intoxicating hemp space. right? So the gas station Delta 8s, the vape store access to THCA flower. So that's really what put the hemp farmers down, because all of these products, due to Ohio's legislation, must be produced in by another state. So they can't outlaw the flower. So for our App Girls Cannabis drinks, we can't even grow the hemp that goes into them because we're a total THC state.
Right. That's it.
You know,
So the difference.
Ridiculous.
So Ohio is a total THC state versus, the one off the top of my head, Tennessee, because I visit there every year, Gatlinburg. Tennessee is not a total THC state. It is just a Delta 9 state. So per the 2018 Farm Bill, the only thing that is has to be below the 0.3 is the Delta 9, okay? THC is the precursor to Delta 9. Once you decarboxylate that or burn it, to combust it, to smoke it, it turns into Delta 9. So they've banned, so in Ohio, total THC, they take the THCA number, multiply it by 0.877, and then add that number to the already occurring Delta 9 number. In the other states, the only number they're concerned about is the Delta 9. They could care less about the THCA number. They have no conversion. There's no formula to convert that to add to your Delta 9, which I'm not sure where that formula was even developed or came up with it. But they use that number, whether it was Ohio, whatever states, if it's a total T state, they use that whatever THCA number times the 0.877. So, but that's another part, back to the legislature spiel. We're trying to get that language into that where we'll be permitted to grow some of this THCA flower, not only just for that, but to offer to these high THC adult use medical processors to be able to obtain minor cannabinoids and potentially terpenes to use in their products that are from Ohio versus having to get them from Colorado, California, or wherever is cheapest. At least gives us a seat at the table.
Yeah.
If that happens, I'll be at the State House as a proponent. You know, like
First time.
Yeah, I won't forget to show back up in support of that. You know, that's what's up.
Yeah, so we're super excited about the drinks now. Like Josh mentioned, we weren't in it initially in the intoxicating space, but seeing the way things have developed and sitting by the wayside, we decided we might as well take advantage and jump in. So
yeah, so like, how did you even put this? Like, did you make it the first time at your house? Like, where so you're making this at ACEnet in Athens? Did you always start in ACEnet in Athens or Nelsonville? I'm sorry.
Nope. So we started in Appalachian Girls started in Nelsonville right here. The drinks is a recent expansion. So we brought on one of our a good friend and an investor in our company also has another company that 420 Craft Beverages that has actually come up with the processes and the way to do this. So our good friend Wes.
Yeah, at this point, you know, because of Ohio's legislation, we've been forced, whether good or bad, I think the outcome is good. I'm glad it happened, but we've been forced into a more of a brand space where we're really not the producers of this product. We're really not the processors of this product. We are the sellers of this product. So it has that, you know, the heart and soul of us in it, and we're just going to continue to fight for change until we can hold the production side of that, right? Mm-hmm. And like I said, this is like a near and dear to my heart, right? So I did my master's degree here at OU, and I spent a lot of time at these circle gardens right down the road. Mm-hmm. You know, Dr. Tracy runs those bamboo gardens. Have you ever been there?
You're talking about like the community garden right over here? Yeah.
No, well, it's not the community gardens. It's the OU student gardens, which is right next to that. But it's just literally you could walk down this path and you're there. So that's where our heart is. That's what we've been doing. We've been growing this plant. We're connected to growing it and producing it. However, due to this fortunate situation, we've been forced into this brand space, and now we have a product that's selling. You know how hard it
Congrats,
is.
dude. Yeah, I don't.
You know how hard it is to sell non-intoxicating hemp. Like before
that
we
was a challenge.
Yeah, it's rough.
What do you mean, man?
Yeah. So the drinks have been awesome. We're just getting up off the ground and starting to work, hopefully, with the distributor here shortly, and things are really happening. It's pretty cool. It's being pretty well received, I think, too. Everybody from the flavor, I mean, they do the trick, I think, for people that aren't into to consuming their cannabis by combustion or topically, or want to just have a drink, or a day sipper, or want to go to the bar and be social but don't consume alcohol. This is a great other option, I guess. Yeah. And it's just cool to be able to consume something like that at a bar. Once again, it's one of these things that, you asked me this 10 or 15 years, like, what are you talking about? Or, how the heck? Or I probably wouldn't. Well, I can tell you, I wouldn't have known about CBD or any of these or hemp, really much the different. Well, I did do a hemp report at Hocking College for. But so, I wouldn't have really known the other nuances, I guess, with what we're doing 10, 15 years ago, or would have thought it would have been an option. It was different to see. I can remember taking Josh up. I said, hey, you got to come over and check this out. I got about 2,000 plants up on my hilltop, and I don't know if he really took me seriously or not, but then when I came up there, he about shit his pants and was like, what in the hell is this?
It was literally like walking in through the gates of heaven. I was like,
we're used to 10 by 10 grow rooms here, or 10 by 12, or a small basement or something. When you go out and see almost 2 acres of cannabis plants, it's kind of, it's different.
The light was shining down. Just to see the plant being grown outside using that natural light, right? So with the sustainable ag background, it's all about being able to utilize these things we have outside. And right now, unfortunately, one of the downsides to the legalization of cannabis under the state market is that they can only grow it indoors. Once again, set up butt-ass
Adam was talking about this. Yeah. Because it's like you can't. So why though, right? Why can't they grow it outside? Is because you can't pass fucking tests. So you're gonna grow 3 times in a row and fucking not be able to sell anything.
Well, that, and they want to still persist with the scaremongering and the fear-mongering. Like, this can't be outside.
Well, you could.
What happens if a 3-year-old kid hopped over some barbed wire fence and got in there?
9 foot tall barbed wire fence. Yeah, of course.
Right, yeah. Let's see, what were we saying? What did you say that Adam was saying about it again?
He was talking about fuck.
I know. I just drew a blank. I did. I know. I got sidetracked there.
Well, the indoor.
Oh, yeah. That's what he said. Is that it's very hard for growers to pass tests. Is what he would say. Like pass tests, like there'd be a powder on it or a mildew. Yeah. So he was just saying that outside it's a lot harder to like make money.
Most of those companies that are growing now indoors are still having those problems, and they just remediate all their flower, and that's why part of the reason why most of it's so bad. Whether they're using light to kill these molds or do other things, and so most of the indoor stuff is hard to pass as well. So
you know what? You can't even do how me and Matt have grown out. Black market for years. Compost teas, baby. That's what it's all about. Using this diverse soil food web, Well, what happens when some of your soil microbes go airborne and they land on some bud? So now that bud is treated with herbicides or pesticides that could be potentially harmful, but state approved. Or you can zap that with some remediated stuff. Either way, Yeah, microwave weed.
They put it in a microwave and microwave the weed to kill the molds. And that's completely legitimate and state approved.
And then they call it medicine.
Yeah, that's your medicine that you get.
Bro, that's so fucked up, man.
What do you think about Michigan? That's where
They're charging you $150 for a half ounce of microwaved weed?
Not saying all of it's done. Some of them don't microwave at all, but they use ultraviolet lights to kill it and things of that nature that are definitely affecting cannabinoids and terpenes and things of that nature.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know,
Wow.
that's all been approved.
You know, just like in your personal like preference, like do you guys prefer weed grown inside or outside? Like everyone says that you can control more inside, so you can grow like quote unquote better weed inside.
I'm passionate about this, and this sorry to cut you off once again.
You're good.
Because I know he's passionate about it in his own ways too. But first off, I ain't never tasted some outdoor weed that tastes like fully awesome, not manicure, but taken care of, heart and soul. You didn't grow 20 million plants. You know, craft cannabis. I love that indoors. But for what we're buying on the Ohio market and nationwide, these are edibles, these are RSOs, these are hashes, these are rosin. There's really no need to have the products that you already cover up all the organoleptic compounds, the beautiful essence of that craft flower. Mm-hmm. You're just extracting the cannabinoids and then reconstitution it back in an edible. That should all be done outdoor, because there's no need for that craft essence, that flavor. The only place for indoor cannabis is on the craft level, and in my opinion, the tier 3 level that my buddy here just talked about. What we're getting denied in the state of Ohio. We have these big dogs that want to microwave weed and just force you down some shit that has no heart and soul attached to it.
Yeah, and the outdoor will just bring the price down, make it more available to everybody. You know, you're mass produced. I mean, the sun's free. It's not costing anybody grow lights or HVAC or dehumidification. I mean, you know, it just. I mean, and that'll make it more affordable for everybody. And in my opinion, access for everyone. You know, but it's whether you use it as medicine, you know, or as an adult use. What's the difference if it's making you feel better and you're enjoying it? It's a benefit, right?
For sure. Like, what, fucking medicinal fucking vodka? Like, what are you...
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just... If we can do that, you know, and that brings access to, you know, processors and all that, it just brings the price down all the way around, so it's a win-win.
Yeah. Do you envision a world where it's just, like, fucking, like... Some, you know, you just have like a farmer's market stand with like fucking, you're just a little, you know what I mean? Like, do you think that that's like a reality? That
no, because it's too hard for them to get their money out of it.
But they figured out how to sell fucking shade wine at the farmer's market. Why can't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, here's the thing too. Also adamant about this. I will never stop being at the State House entirely until one, like I said, Ohio's hemp farmers can contribute, and two, until there's deli style. That's what needs to be done.
Dude, New York, yeah.
And Oregon's got deli style too, right? Once again, back to these organoleptic compounds. Why would I want to buy a flower that I can't see, I can't feel it, I can't touch it,
smell it,
I can't smell it?
I can't even be on the same side of the glass.
Right. It's like walking into a bulletproof, like you know, like I don't know, like there's bulletproof glass between me and you. It totally kills any connection.
Back to the treat it like alcohol, you know, you should be able to go in the grocery store and pick up whichever variety you'd like off the shelf, right? But, you know, the kids might get their hands on it. Well, they might get their hands on the alcohol too. You know,
they do.
Yeah, exactly. So,
in
if that's the only argument, I think it's a weak argument in my opinion. But you know, it's hard to convince everybody because it's been demonized for so long, not like alcohol.
I think you just gotta get these fucking boomers out of, you know, like because I get it, like they're just different world. You know what I mean? Like I understand why my grandpa might feel the way he does. Yeah. But I just don't know anybody my age that like genuinely gives a shit. Fuck. Yeah. So then
57%, you know, and it's like, well, that was one of when we were testimony, that was one of the reps was there. He said, my constituents overwhelmingly voted against this. Well, it's time to educate them and tell them it's just like, it's not going away. It's going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to, educate these people. It's not, methamphetamines. It's not in some of these things, so it's like, it's here to stay, and you're going to have to figure out, just like alcohol, if you don't want to be around it, don't be around it, but it's not a end of the world,
The irony of the situation that's going on at the State House right now, right? So, at the same time as Ohio's trying to increase their taxes on marijuana and rob the city of part of those taxes, we are trying to serve as a home. I just heard this at the State House like a month or two ago. We're trying to bring the NRA's home here, and that will be pushed as a tax-free on all ammunition bought in the state of Ohio. So essentially, we won't be taxed on ammunition. We'll get in bed with the NRA, and then we'll double hike the cannabis tax. Like, this is like, it's unbelievable. And I'm afraid, don't get me wrong, I love my guns. I shoot my guns. I'm an active participant in having guns.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to prioritizing something that's good for people versus something that maybe we should have a tax on ammo.
I don't understand that. It's like fucking gerrymandering, but with tax, right? It's like fucking take. I'm
Totally.
gonna get that. I'm gonna tax this, but not tax. That sounds like some conservative shit, though.
Yeah, whose pockets does it line the most, or who does this help the most? Crazy.
Yeah, in 2025, what do you think the misconceptions are about cannabis? Look at today's world.
Well, the stigma's still real, right? That's where it's really at. There's still a lot of misconceptions in the sense that so I went full circle after I met Matt, graduated from Hawking College. Now I'm back there. I'm the Hawking College history instructor. I'm the lab capstone instructor and the practicum instructor. Once again, maybe I shouldn't
For cannabis.
For cannabis. Once again, maybe I shouldn't be airing this out, but the discussion needs to be had, right? The other day, the hemp got moved from our cannabis lab because the other program directors and the local Hawking police and the equestrian, whoever's around there, come up and said, it smells like cannabis. So my boss was like, we need to figure out how to get airflow that doesn't, stink up the whole place because of these people. And to me, this just continues the stigma, right? We're a cannabis program. You know how it is when you roll up to the NR building. For decades, what you normally smelled was the horse manure from the equestrian
I thought you were going to say cannabis anyway. That's the time it was.
Yes, cannabis anyways. But I just find it, I feel like we got a lot of work to do in this space, right? Like, if you are anywhere else, if I smell hot dogs cooking on the street,
Yeah, dude, get the fuck out.
Yeah,
holy shit.
I think by having that move out of that, I was a little offended that it's like, okay, now we're going to find a different location to hang this hemp. It's like, what does this say to our students? Hey, don't be proud of this.
This is bad.
This is bad.
Yeah, man.
It's just, I don't know. I won't be happy until, that stigma is kind of looked at like no differently than smelling the grass when it's cut outside.
Yeah. It's a
That's
plant.
it. It's a plant.
Well, like
It's
one of the
Let's get over
stigmas
it.
I think too is the driving high thing. I think people consider it to be just like driving with alcohol, which I don't think anybody should be driving around high or anything. But that's something that they're using as kind of a fear tactic, I guess.
Well, that's also an interesting conversation with people my age because we'll let you back in. We'll let you back. Is like you could blow, you could breathalyze, or they could like take your blood, and it's like an objective number of like what is your blood alcohol content. Like how could a cop like pull you over,
tell you how high you are,
or even like verify that you are, because I mean, like say, like it could just like, we don't know how long it stays active in your system, right? So if I smoked weed 3 days ago, like I could still pop like you know what I mean? So like, has that like, and is that is also anything you guys talk about in these like legislations?
No, that's a big topic. Actually, Tim Johnson, he's cannabis safety. I think it's cannabis safety first is what his program is, but he's used to be a police officer. But yeah, we were just at a town hall meeting up there in Columbus with Tim, and he was talking about it. And I don't remember, I think he referred to it as like nanograms or something. They could tell how many active nanograms if they draw your blood, and it was, the number's like 35, it's like, well, hell, they did me, I'd probably be over 500, or, it's hard to tell, but I've also heard they're developing like a mouth swab so they can tell. And obviously, I don't know, the factors of it, but it's supposedly supposed to say if you've smoked within 2 hours, and they were going to use a 2-hour thing, but I don't know how.
Because that's next question. You're allowed to drink a couple beers, chill out, right? 0.08. It's not zero. There is a limit.
You can go to dinner and have a drink, right?
Yeah. But I would just say, like on the air of caution, my brother actually passed away speeding, right? Like sober. And so like cars and safety, like I don't even like to have a beer and drink. I really don't. Yeah. I don't like to have like hit a joint, and I just don't like it at all. But that's always like a weird line that you like, having grown up like recreationally using cannabis, like there's always been that line of like, some people are like, fuck,
I'm 10 joints deep, let's go, or
well, it's just, and then you're just like, yeah, man, well, I'll chill out for a minute, or it's like, I've just been at somebody's house and they're will you let the homie back in? Like, so it's just been a loose interpretation of like, are you okay to drive? Right? I don't know.
And I don't know, and I'm not from, obviously Ohio's newer to the game with this. I don't know how they handle that in like say California or Colorado. That's been, maybe they have something. I don't know. I just haven't dived that deep, I guess.
Talking about how police kind of have this like loose angle to like question you about marijuana, right? Like, how do they test? So comparing blood alcohol contents, like I can breathalyze you, like you can't breathalyze me for weed, right?
Well, now that's what they're trying to do essentially, is outlaw hemp, right? Because when you pull up to a car, how can you tell what you smell?
Is it hemp, or is it low THC, or is it high THC? There's
probable cause. I smell drugs.
Yeah. So if it's hemp, it's not.
There's sneaky language in these bills. They're 100-page long. It takes a long time to read them. Can't lie. Shout out to ChatGPT, because you can plug one in and get the general gist of it, and then go back and reference that that's really, always double check all that, like, well, what sections do I need to be really concerned with here? One thing when I went to the bathroom that I totally forgot about, hate to change the subject, but we totally missed Jackio's, right? They now serve our drinks.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome to us, right? Because we look up to them, obviously, as entrepreneurs in this space and the success that they've had.
That's awesome.
Here locally. So we're excited. They carry our 10 milligram strawberry lemonade.
I think my buddy might have sent me a picture one time of your guys' product and was like, hey, I just got this to the Clips, man.
Sweet, heck yeah.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, we're trying to rep the brand and get our names out there. Josh has been kind of the poster child for us.
But back to your thing about intoxication, right? So how do we distribute DUIs before the breathalyzer? I don't really know this to be true, but I imagine it was done by a sobriety roadside test. So
which is already kind of fucked up, because it's like I could just be unathletic as fuck
goofy,
and like not
goofy
dude, like
foot.
man.
Right. So back to like, what is intoxicated? right? Because I can tell you personally
They have to define
that
that.
I can smoke a lot of weed because I smoke weed every day and not feel like I can't drive. But edibles, like knowing your own endocannabinoid system tone, right? That's a real thing. It's a network inside of you. It's your body's biggest regulation system that keeps you in homeostasis. It connects to your skin cells, your nerves, your spine. It's like literally a network of mycella inside your body. So everybody's endocannabinoid system tone responds differently due to the set of not only cannabinoids but terpenes and flavonoids too, right? There's one terpene called beta-caryophyllene, which is also, it's the only one that we know like this, but it's also a minor cannabinoid. So it works on the receptors as the same way as a cannabinoid would, but is also a terpene.
Explain the difference between a terpene and a cannabinoid.
So, minor cannabinoids are found on the plant. Well, they're found also in your body, right? Your body produces A2D and anandamide. These things are so similar to when you work out as an athlete, what runner's high is like. That's anandamide. That chemical is identical to THC. That's your body's own endocannabinoid system producing endogenous cannabinoids found inside your body. So what's found on the cannabis plant is called phytocannabinoids. Okay, so this is where a lot of the minor cannabinoids come into play. They all are carbon bonded similarly, so they act on your endocannabinoid system. However, terpenes are more so the compounds that are found on all plants. And they're also, contrary to popular belief, found in animal species, like skunks and whatnot. Right, so terpenes interact with cannabinoids and also interact with flavonoids to help bring you to what they call the entourage effect, right? So when we talk about the entourage effect, what we're talking about is the mixing of cannabinoids and terpenes together as they're found on the plant, right? No plants out there just contain THC. No plants just contain CBD. They contain an entourage of these alkaloids.
Which is what he's talking about, full spectrum.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Full spectrum
Yeah.
hemp. So when we isolate things like THC and CBD and try to turn them into standard medicine, what we find is really restrictive benefits, right? Because everybody's endocannabinoid system tone is different.
Which
right?
is why it's like the different effects. Like we may smoke the same sativa, and like it's gonna put you on your ass, and I'm gonna be like,
Bouncing off the
because
walls,
it's like the original state that your cannabinoid system is in prior to consuming that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And the terpenes are involved in that too.
Is the terpene the smell thing too? Is that like why people? Yeah, like you say, oh, that smells
100%.
skunky or
Yeah.
peppery. That's my
Yeah.
favorite weed. Is like that caprillicin. I don't know, that peppery shit.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite kind of weed.
Yeah. Yeah. And they say, I don't have any scientific language to speak on that, but yeah, depending, that combo may, like we said, that, humulene and beta-caryophyllene or limonene or whatever may rock me 10 times harder than that. And like you're saying, the peppery is better for you, and Josh might like the berry and whatever else. So
Also, I'll add is that we used to kind of characterize things as indica sativa. That makes sense from a plant biology perspective, morphology, blah, blah, blah. But it does not make sense from a consumer perspective.
To be like, am I getting a
sativa, indica?
Yeah. So what should they look at? Like the components that make up the plant, right?
Myrcene,
all those are labeled. So just do your own. It's like choose your own adventure. We're going this route today. See what effect I get off of this. If not, we'll try this next time and see, and just see what effect you like the best, or what's works if it's an ailment, or if you just want to relax, or you need to eat, or whatever. You could probably determine, okay, that today I need the Granddaddy Purps, and tomorrow I want Lemon G.
So even knowing kind of the strain to go to.
Yeah, I'm going to go testify. We better smoke this today, Josh, to take the edge off.
No myrcene, right? Yeah. We got to testify. Let's not have myrcene.
So, it really
that's what people should be looking at, not like, I'm looking at an indica
sativa,
hybrid.
Right. Because I'm an indica, it'll get me bouncing. I'm like, I smoke the indicas. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Let's go work. What's up?
So, honestly, dude, I didn't even ask the weed man what it was, what is it doing, that's
most people are just worried about the name, the galactic cookies and super booby
it's all
buff
deceit
runs
and lies,
super
right?
Smoke and mirrors.
Supporting the dispensary. So when you walk in there, you're bombarded with lies and deceit right off the rip. They're like, oh, it's this potency of THC. Oh, it's this indica or sativa.
Not lies, just marketing.
Well, it is. It's marketing, but it's like, I'm just want to encourage everybody and all of the listeners to be in touch with your own endocannabinoid system, because that's how you regulate safety on the road, right? Like, I know that these App Girls drinks, these edibles, they hit me stronger than weed. I could smoke weed all day and not be as stoned as drinking 2 of these 25 milligram drinks. Yeah. And this is what they call hemp in America now. So I don't know whether to feel blessed or cursed.
And that's, one of the things with the way cannabis is now too, it's like people just want the biggest bang for their buck. So they want these 35%, even if they maybe are manipulated lab percentages. We want 35, or we got 40% THC, or what Snoop Dogg had 50% THC variety, or who knows. But it's like some of these, when you actually smoke them, and if you were to do a laboratory test, they'd come back and say, hey, this is only 18% THC, but you have all these other minor cannabinoids in it, and you're getting rocked off of that 10 times harder than you are off the 35%. And that's the case with chem dog, whether it be 4D, 91, whichever one it want be, religiously tested in the 20s. Today people wouldn't even want it, but that gets you higher than a lot of other things. So it's all it's back to the cannabinoid system, I guess.
I never thought about that. I never considered even the Adam brought up, if you want to jack up the THC, to do that, you're going to strip out other shit, right? Which is kind of the point to what you just said, which is that you should be looking at the components that make up the plant, but you're going to be diminishing all of those things that differentiate them just to jack up the THC for what? For marketing, because you think that I've looked at this 70 proof, oh, this is 100 proof, oh, this is it's that comparison, right?
That totally. Maybe that is what you're looking for. Maybe you want just all CBG isolate or whatever it may be, because that's what works for you.
Or I think it's all the sleepy shit, right?
It's just knowing what you want, what you're using it for. Are you doing it, to have fun and be social, or do you actually have ailments that you're trying to deal with? Whether that's just not being depressed or whatever it is, how big or small, it's knowing your system.
I'll say that's what really brought the hemp into play, right? So I smoke our sour Electra, what they would consider non-intoxicating hemp that we produce at ACEnet there in Nelsonville. I smoke that because I love cannabis, and some of the other cannabis I have is high in THC. So now when you mix a joint, if I were to have my perfect strain, it would be nowhere near these 30% people are growing. I like that 10 to 12. The Illudium that we used to have here in Ohio, I'd love to get that straight back, right? So it's running mid-teens on a test. You just, the overall experience is way more important than purchasing based off a total milligram THC. People are missing the point. It's all about those organoleptic compounds. I want to smoke all day. Yeah. So if I have just strong stuff, I like to mix it with my hemp, tame it down, because that's where my endocannabinoid system likes being. I'm burning a lot of terpenes, I'm burning a lot of flavonoids, and not a lot of THC.
Yeah. What is your preferred method? You joint guy?
I am. I like to get my hands on the flower. I like the feel of it, the oiliness of it, the smell, the taste. I mean, it's all about that for me.
For sure. Yeah.
The stoneness. I don't even get stoned. I like to keep it at that point where I'm just like feeling all right. Like I don't like being stoned. I guess that's why my edible consumption is not there,
Yeah.
I don't do it for that. I do it more for like a walk through life daily.
Keep you even keeled.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't missed a day of consuming cannabis in about 25 years. So I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. I don't know.
Do you know anyone that like THCs negatively impact their life?
Yeah, actually.
Because I think it's important to talk about that. I don't think enough people talk about
yes,
that. Yes,
we have, one of our co-founders, Joey, one of his, a friend up there near New Philadelphia actually has what's called cannabis hypermesis. They get violently ill and vomiting and nauseous and
cold showers.
Yeah,
they just get addicted. It's
but
he's
substituted now with our CBD flower and consumes quite heavily and has no ill effect. So back to the hypermemesis, or however you say it, and I don't even know that they know. That's back to the education and learning. I don't know that they know what the effect of that is. I've heard a lot of rumors that, it's from pesticides or neem oils, residual stuff on plants, and they're smoking it and they're having this effect. Maybe, but there's also been studies where people have drinking neem oil and different things like that and have not experienced this type of sickness. So more to come on that, I guess. Learning all the time.
Yeah.
Back to the indoor production, right? So when you most are at threat of what he's talking about is seems to be distillates and concentrates, right? So if you can imagine it, outdoor or indoor, particularly indoor, right? Because your conditions are so close. If you have to treat something, even with herbicide once or twice, that may just be fine for someone to burn flower. But now when you're taking tens and 20s and hundreds of pounds of that flower and you're concentrating it into a vape pen, if you have herbicide on that flower,
it's the parts per million of what that is.
Compounding, yeah.
So I should stop buying rosin from the dispensaries. You're saying?
Don't get us in trouble. I'm not saying that tier 1 player, so I'm not talking trash about your products.
I did a little bit, but I guess.
No, I get that's it's very intuitive what you're explaining. That makes very clear sense what you're explaining. Like the amount of that herbicide that you would get burning a plant versus like what you would get hitting a pen that has been concentrated.
Even
down.
Heavy metals, it doesn't have to be from what was in the soil where the plants were grown. If that concentration, when you're taking it, like you said, to 99.9 or 8% fine.
Well, that's the thing too, right? They're trying to scare us through the OCAN, the big dog players in the state metric system. Is like, we need all this compliance to happen due to your safety. But the truth is I've been buying, growing, selling weed in Meigs and Athens County for a few decades, and ain't nobody run into some of these issues they're having in these state back to all sustainable agriculture. Know your farmer, right? Know your farmer when you can. We want to hold these standards on organic certification and this and that. When organics is great and all, I'm not saying don't think like that, but we need to think more sustainably, right? Buying your organic lettuce from the Silicon Valley in California in the middle of a desert where they needed 5,000 gallons of water to give you organic lettuce versus you buying it from the guy at the Athens Farmers Market who may have used 7 Dust once, or he might not have wanted to pay for his certification. That's sustainable agriculture, right? We need to look at cannabis in a similar way. It's not just the environmental impacts that create sustainability. Sustainability has 3 pillars. It's environmental, it's social, and economic, right? We need to take all 3 of these things in consideration when we make any purchasing decision in any form of agriculture. And that includes cannabis. So we want to be in the dispensaries one day. So I'm not talking complete down upon it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you buy from a dispensary, if you're rich enough to afford that, then look into the brand that you're buying from.
Yeah.
You know, try to know their farmers. Try to know who they got in line. You know, I can tell you that knowing your farmer has worked out well in cannabis for not having adverse health effects for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, again, pretty intuitive. Yeah, for sure. So the problem is not that you need that regulation for your safety. The problem is, like, the person that is in charge of making that decision, like, had a cousin that went to Miami University, is a lawyer now, and they need a job to regulate all this fucking, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what it seems like to me. Like, the reason you need compliance is because, yeah, it's like, I need to pay my homie over there. You know, it seems like that is, like, way more obvious than, yeah. Yeah, dude, I hate going to dispense. It is the most, like, fucking, like...
It's like getting your temperature checked the old way.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I ever had to do that shit. I'm only 27.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Good stuff. A lot of talk on cannabis.
Shout out. What else is up? Like, Athens, Ohio. Like, who do you support down here?
ACEnet.
Shout out ACEnet.
Yeah, big time.
ACEnet. It's great how much I talk about ACEnet on this podcast so far. Probably like all but 2 episodes. Yeah,
it's great.
Shout out to
That's
them.
why I think
helps so many people.
Yeah.
Just everything is just. Hopefully, we can get past these freezes, some of the
funding
grants and
freezes.
stuff.
Yeah. So Business Builder Subaward, is that what you guys, or just something from the U.S. or what was that? ABRFC, Appalachian Food Business Resource Center.
Yep. This is above my pay grade as a facilities manager.
Yeah,
But that's what's so valuable about your podcast, right? I work with these people, but we're so busy doing our work, and to hear Reggie, to hear Adam Cody talk about what they do. Ronnie, I already know because we know him more on a everyday level, but it's just awesome that you brought that to the table. Yeah. Tim Martin too. Like, now we know, me and Matt know, we got to get down to that WVU and OU somehow, either in Dora or whatever else.
Well, it's in Athens this year. It's in Morgantown next year.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Here this year,
right? Yeah, that'd be sick.
Gonna be big.
And just a shout out to Mr. Cody too, Adam.
Adam Cody.
I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I just do my own thing. There's very few people that could be my boss, right? Okay. And he is just so good at that because I'm a wild card, So I'm blessed to be on that staff there. Reggie's so soft-spoken, but just speaks so well, right? He brought the 400-foot view of ACEnet on that episode 1. That was dope,
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't even really be in business at where we're at.
How did you guys find out about ACEnet?
I worked there for Chris Schmiel back in 2003.
Is that the Pawpaw guy?
Yeah.
We actually just made some of his Pawpaw jam this morning.
And that's where I met Leslie Shower that year too, which is somebody who would not be happy about me saying this, but if you could get her on here, I think that would be awesome.
What's her name?
Leslie Shower. She is kind of ACEnet. You
Nice.
know what I mean? She sits there in her office doing all the important work, we don't get to intermingle with her as much. But she's just a strong female.
Somebody's got to do the work, you know.
Yeah.
Nice. Who are some other people in the ACEnet in Nelsonville? Like, what other businesses like operate out of there?
Milo's Worldwide Gourmet. Tim is actually up there, works in the wood shop, right?
Yeah,
he does that. And then we just, new clients? Herb Hub, us, App Girls, and Can of Pure Relief.
Nice.
Who else? The Apothecaries up there. We also got, what are some of the people in the offices, Josh? I can't.
Oh, up front, Bailey's Run.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jess and
Yeah.
Delia
Yeah.
work up there. Awesome people, you know. But we got B&B brands down there. But really, there's
Global.
a lot of people that use the kitchen space.
Yeah.
Right? Like
CFI, a bunch of people. Henry with Primaterra.
Yep. What about Deadeye Two-Tongue?
Yep, he does his
What's
mushroom.
his business?
I can't remember.
Hellfire
Holler. Yep.
That guy's an interesting character. He's pretty big on the TikTok space. I won't tell his story, but with a name like Deadeye Two Tongues, you can imagine he's probably got a few.
Unique.
Yeah. Milo's is the biggest one. They hold a lot of space and they do a lot of good work, right?
Yeah, what do they do, Milo's?
They make sauces, but they don't only have their own brand, Brownwood Farms, but they also co-pack and white label for other companies.
Ah, that's cool.
One of those.
Josh's hero.
Wow.
Joke.
I wouldn't say he's my hero, but I highly respect the guy just because he's in a space that demands a lot of attention. I'm sure it's high stress.
Oh, I was talking about Mom's Spaghetti.
I thought you were talking about Jonathan from Miles.
Well,
so he branded for Mom's Spaghetti the M&M's pasta sauce up there. I don't know that that's an ongoing deal, but you know.
Yeah.
But the kitchen space, right?
Yeah,
There's a whole bunch of cool people in and out of there,
Nice.
but also just people that use it. You get to see all these other entrepreneurs, these people trying to work things out.
new ideas and
Yeah, so it's just like a network of idea bouncing, right? So we're just blessed. It's one of the only jobs that I would have been happy with other than working for myself. That's what I mean. It's like I'm just like a self-driven type of person. Shout out to Adam Cody for being a great boss, and Ronnie. There just ain't a lot of people I could work for, you know. It's just not in it. It's just not in my deck of cards. But ACEnet's a special place. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep, unique.
Yeah. Makes it bittersweet. I'm done there on the 27th.
Oh, wow.
Full-time App Girls. So
Wow, exciting.
Yeah, super exciting.
Trying to make some big moves here, so hopefully in the near future you'll be seeing a lot more Appalachian Girls around, that's for sure.
For sure. At first I was like, dude, two dudes are coming on. Why is it called Appalachian Girls? And then I realized it's fucking female cannabis plants. Like,
You
right?
got it, exactly.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah,
I was
it
confused at first.
It kind of reflects both our roots and where we're from. You know, Appalachian. All of our co-founders are. Well, I'm a Hawking College grad, but they're all OU alumni as well. And it's totally just what the female part of the plant where we get the essence and the oils and the things that really drive our business. You know, it's what gives us the drinks.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice. So, how other than like purchasing, your products at the place we talked about, Buddy's Lounge, Jackie O's, Eclipse, Ray the Spots, like, how can the community support you? Right? How could they help with like what you guys are doing, testifying and stuff? Like, how could they contribute to that? Like, how can the community support you? Whatever that means to you guys.
Call your rep. Come testify.
Well, the first way to really support us is just go to Instagram and follow App Girls Cannabis.
Perfect.
App Girls Cannabis.
Perfect.
Go to www.appgirlscannabis.com just to read about our stories, how we use living soil for fertility, how we've reduced our reliance on petroleum-based bottled fertilizers, right? So these are things we're proud of. We use Buckle spring water in our soils, right? So me and Matt load up the truck with 15 5-gallon carboys from Nelsonville to Buckle and come back, That's the type of stuff, that's the next level stuff that you go to when you want to produce craft cannabis.
Down in the details, yeah.
Right. We got a YouTube page where me and Matt's testimonies can be found. We got a Facebook page. You can also follow us on our side pages, mine being, so I do a little side gig called Soiled Obsessions, where I help consult and just talk to people through their first time home grows. I go to different farms in Athens and Meggs over the summer. If you get on there, you could check out the monsters I recorded, right?
Yeah, okay.
They're the people that the State House is really concerned with, because when they say 10 joints a day, it's like people out there, they're literally growing 5-6 pounds a plant.
12.
So with a 6 plant minimum, you're talking 30, 40.
Is that genetics? Like, is that the dirt? What the fuck do they do?
Love and admiration.
Everything.
So
Genetics.
All exponentially compounding the right direction.
Absolutely.
It's like, do shit the right way and maybe it works out for you.
Yep.
Fuck, dude,
Put
that's
in the
sick.
hard work.
Yeah.
Put in the hard work, yeah.
That dude in particular I'm talking about, he did biochar, so he dug a ditch.
Hugel pits.
He burnt a whole bunch of wood in a pit. He covered that and let it smolder. Like 12 days later, he went out, it was still burning. Let it smolder more. Used proper fertility in Jadam and Korean natural farming. Exactly what Adam was talking to you about, right?
Biggest plants I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. Korean
Hands
natural
down.
farming is where it's at. Right?
Korean natural farming.
Yeah, KNF.
And Jadam, too.
And Jadam.
Cannabis, we did a little bit of that cannabis-specific Jadam, where we ferment green material, stems, leaves, whatever, from the plant, and ferment that and then feed it back to the plant. So it's on the cheap, but super beneficial, and microbial loads, and just...
This is how you feed millions of people in a communist country.
North Korea.
Like Korea.
That's where, yeah.
You don't
it's like
have
you have
a
to.
lot of money.
You don't have any fertilizers.
So you
gotta
juice
do it
all the shit out of
yourself.
that you can. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Resourceful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda
very
makes sense.
cool.
Wow.
So yeah, follow us on soiled_obsessions_ on IG from
Oh fuck, I do follow. That was another account that fucking Adam Chef sent me. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
And then
Red Dread 740, and then I also do Buckeye Clone Collective. Haven't been real active on that lately, but we do the selling clone, barter clones, I guess, and genetics for people to grow at home, and seeds and different things like that. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Beautiful. And then buy the shit. Buy it. App Girls Cannabis.
Thanks. Yes, please support. We love all the support we could get.
sorry. I should have brought this earlier, but I can tell we're running a long thing. But we didn't really talk about our integration with the most spectacular, but like as monumental as ACEnet is to our community, there's an equal destination to be at for us in cannabis here in Athens.
Museum.
And that's the Cannabis History Museum, bro. I'm
Yeah,
an
plug it,
advisor.
yeah.
I'm an advisor at the Cannabis History Museum. We do a home grow workshop there once a month where we walk people from 21 years of age to 70 years of age how to do their first home
cultivation
grow, right?
Yeah.
So
did that just started up? Was the first one last month or this one?
It was actually last year. We did the outdoor last summer. And
Oh,
then
I'm sorry. I meant the new sessions now.
Yes.
Have they started?
May
This month,
21st.
yeah,
May
okay.
21st. Come check us out.
Oh, so it hasn't happened yet.
Not yet, but and then we'll be covering genetics and setup. I'm not sure exactly what's on the list for that, but
May 21st, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So do you know how much joy it brings us to walk a 70-year-old old lady through the enthusiasm of growing plants and to watch them. They grow them so big, these old ladies.
All the way to making their own cookies and things like that, sharing cookies,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Grandma.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
It's a blessing to be
Yeah,
there.
come on out and join us because it's a blast and it's pretty informative, I think. We cover a lot in a little bit of time, but then we always end up having to hang out and talking more after session. So
I've grown like 2 autoflower plants before. Like I was like moving it inside and outside, dude, and I got it fucking moldy. Like it just
autoflowers aren't the easiest thing to deal with anyway. So
you would recommend photo period plants?
Absolutely, feminized seed photo period or just clone by clone. 100%.
Yeah. Where's a good spot to get clones? Can you buy those legally?
Here in the right room to ask that.
Well, you can purchase a sticker and get a free clone, or it's they cannot legally be purchased, but
Okay.
I have this fine canned beverage that you purchase this and you get a free clone. So.
Wicked. Red Dread 740.
Yeah, or Buckeye Clone Collective.
Shout out to the Ohio.
Grassroots. They do the Ohio Grow Expo. This last time it was at the rec center. We've done a few at the fairgrounds, and it's a great place to network and just come meet people in the cannabis community and see all kinds of different genetics for sure, from old school to new school.
Nice.
You ever seen the community center room filled up with weed plants?
I saw that it got moved there. I was just, I thought that was pretty wild. I didn't make it there, but I saw some pictures. It looked cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Nice. So main point is to get Donnie on here as well. Mm-hmm. I heard your interview with Coolville with Adam. Yeah. I would like to reiterate some of those points he made.
Of course.
So what makes Donnie Wertschafter so valuable to capturing the history in this area was that he was one of the co-founders to GW Pharmaceutical, which put out 2 cannabis-based drugs, one called Sativex and the other called Epidiolex. Epidiolex, to this day, is still the only FDA-approved cannabis drug in the United States. Huh. So his birth with that was monumental, but he started here in Amesville, out on the far, on a commune, where he was just a, dropout college student, and they threatened to strip mine through Amesville. He got involved in activism, so he diligently spent years of his life coming into the Athens courthouse law library, which was the top floor of our courthouse here in Athens, where they used to actually have books that you could go study the law in. Now they still kind of got that to this day, but you got to be a registered city official to access the law library that used to be free and a good place to go where you could start your law degree. And then he went to Case Western, the top law school in the state at the time, and got his law degree where he continued to fight for cannabis and started the first hemp business in the United States in Guysville, Ohio, called the Ohio Hempery. Wow. And the Ohio Hempery had saw a nice group of success there in the late 90s where they were pressing hemp seed right there. I live right there, right? So we pass this building all the time. That was the Ohio Hempery, and they pressed seed, they harvested hemp oil, and then they took that byproduct from that hemp seed and they produced, they made deals with breweries to make a brand called Hempinale. Well, Hempinale made it onto Air Force One during the Clinton administration. So that was produced right here in Guysville, right? But it was also the destruction of Hempinale because the media got a hold of it, and Clinton's up there getting stoned, and it's, all this stuff.
Back to the stigma.
Right. Yeah. So that shut the weed drink down. So at App Girls Cannabis, we like to think about the forefathers in this drink space for cannabis as being Donnie out here in Guysville, Ohio, right? Yeah. A lot of people don't know that story, right? These are the types of things that you can see well documented at the museum.
Yeah, that's cool. So, and it's out 550, right, towards Amesville?
It's actually on is that Cannonville Road? Or what is it?
69. So if you're driving out of town in Athens and you pass Dow Run or Dow Lake,
Yeah, like the dam
The
side?
dam,
You're talking about? Yeah.
there's a left for 690.
Yeah.
Right where the city engineering built or
Yeah,
county.
yeah.
It's right there.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
like 3 places down from
Yeah.
the engineering building.
Okay.
It's a hidden gem. In
Yeah, so it's that, yeah, it is that, like
Yeah.
less than 10 minutes off the end of State Street.
Oh, yeah.
Not
And
even.
Wednesday
5.
through Saturday, what are the hours of it again? Look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Plug 'em.
Yeah, we do the home grow classes. It's usually the last Wednesday of every month.
This is a new age reiteration of the hempanale. I mean, the roots of cannabis run thick around here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's like the godfather, not even on a national level, right? He spent time with Jack Herrera, the biggest hemp activist of all time. He went to England. He went to
He's still
Canada.
around. Still around.
Donnie?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get him on here before
sure.
he's
Yeah.
not around.
Yeah, cool.
You know.
I'd get his contact info after this. Yeah. Nice.
He would be a token piece
Yeah.
because when he's gone, there ain't going to be somebody that could tell the story as well.
That's
I
wicked,
wouldn't have
yeah.
told his story if I didn't know how thorough and thick all of it. Like,
Yeah.
you could talk 10 hours to the dude about
For sure.
this.
That's
you know?
wicked. Yeah. To reach out to him. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and recurring invite to you guys, man. Like, this is a developing thing, obviously, right? So,
Yeah.
like, if there's, something happens, like, good or bad, like, you want to talk or whatever, like,
We may be ready
got a
to
pretty
after
flexible
160 get
schedule.
HB 160 if
What
it
is
goes
the timing
through.
of that?
They're saying by June 1st, right? I
Well, it's
thought.
in the caucus. Whatever
Yeah.
will be made decision-wise will be done here by the end of May.
Yeah, by the end of this month is their plan. If everything goes according to plan,
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
reach out if you can.
There's 5 Republicans on the list that really need swayed. Like, I don't think any of the people that are really in this at the level we are like actively engaging with the Democrats, right? There's only 1 or 2 of those that aren't on board.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I'm not, I vote left and right, I vote circumstantial,
Yeah.
It ain't nothing this or nothing that, but it just definitely seems like the right has been the people really trying to
Fuck
push
it.
this.
Fuck it
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yank
Propaganda,
it back, pull
yeah.
it back. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thanks for having us again,
Yeah,
Tyler.
this is
This has
awesome.
been great.
Beautiful.
I know
Yeah.
we kind of went everywhere, but
That's the point. Fuck it. Yeah. Matt, Josh, App Girls Cannabis. Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
thanks, pleasure.
Thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure.
Beautiful.